And we're not going to take that long, but we're going to speak. The show is now going to be about for the next 60 minutes, where we will decode what really have been the big pluses and minuses as far as the Trump presidency is concerned. But first up, we've got to hear the man of the moment, President Trump, whose 90-minute speech was as much about political messaging as it was about administrative, and was meant as much for his domestic core audiences as it was for global foreign leaders. Everything from high tariffs on Chinese goods to the president junking the polls that showed his falling ratings were touched upon. You got to listen into the man of the moment. We come back and decode that and a lot more.
In 100 days, I've taken more than 1,000 executive actions, but we're ending the inflation nightmare, the worst that we've had probably in the history of our country, getting woke lunacy and transgender insanity the hell out of our government. We're saving the American dream. We're making America great again, and it's happening fast. We also terminated the clearances of the Biden crime family and Joe Biden himself because he's corrupt. I've already proudly imposed a 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles, any foreign car, like they do to us. This is going to create more jobs in this. They're coming from all over the world to see you, President. They're coming from India. They're coming from France. They're coming from Spain. Yeah, they're coming from China, too. Yeah, they're coming from China. They're coming from all over the world to see you, President. They want to make a deal. In 100 days, we have delivered the most profound change in Washington in nearly 100 years. I read an editorial today that this is the most consequential presidency in history. How about that?
It really is the most consequential presidency in recent times, simply because so much has been done in the last 100 days itself. And NDTV's rolling coverage of 100 hours of Trump 2.0 and the 100-day milestone it has touched has covered all major aspects of the Trump administration, from trade to immigration to the much talked about Signal Gate, where sensitive war plans were leaked on messaging platforms. Over the course of the next 60 minutes, viewers, we will focus on how New Delhi has been able to navigate the uncertainties of the Trump administration and what's the roadmap ahead for this relationship. I'm going to first start by talking about some of the highlights of the administration, the key numbers. If one were to really talk about Trump administration in numbers, that's a graphic point we have for you to really tell what all his administration has been able to achieve. 200 plus lawsuits is what this administration is facing. 42% is the approval rating, which many say is the lowest for any president in the last 70 years or so. 280,000 is the kind of deputation that 139,000 is the deputation, 280,000 is the number of federal government employees who've been sacked. Over 100 media interviews and interactions, 17 foreign leaders hosted, including that famous or infamous meeting with Zelensky in the Oval Office. 143 executive orders signed, only 5 bills passed. So you can see how this presidency has really shaped up. And if we have those executive orders, we can put out some of those details as well. We can keep playing that. And the other important bit I want to show is the 8% fall in the S&P index that has happened since President Trump took over. That really covers the gamut of all that this presidency has touched upon, and which is why let me now quickly welcome my guest joining me this evening, Elizabeth Threlkeld of the Stimson Center, joining me live from Washington, D.C., and Mr. Danny Gaikwad joining us from Florida to talk about the U.S.-India relationship, the hits and misses. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining in. And in fact, Elizabeth, let me start with you. If one were to talk about the U.S.-India relationship at a time when many feel that traditional American allies seem to have got a far more rotten deal as compared to New Delhi, where there is stability and more consistency.
Yeah, I think that's right. Looking back at the past 100 days, it really has been a bastion of continuity, I would say, in terms of the U.S. foreign policy direction in the Indo-Pacific, right? India has been a state that this administration has been eager to engage. We've seen multiple high-level engagements, including, of course, Prime Minister Modi's very early visit to Washington and the just recently concluded visit by Vice President J.D. Vance to India. Obviously, he also has a personal connection to India as well, which was highlighted on the trip. So that was, I think, just an interesting signal of the deep people-to-people relations between both sides. But we've also seen a lot of movement in terms of desires by both sides to move towards some sort of trade agreement. We'll see how quickly that progresses and where we get from here. But especially in comparison to the pretty radical changes in direction that we've seen elsewhere, I do think the US-India partnership has been a space of relative continuity over the course of these 100 days.
Indeed. And Mr. Gaikwad, you're somebody who knows President Trump fairly well. You have a rapport with him. You know his working style. How do you see how the Trump administration approaches its relationship with New Delhi? It did, of course, call New Delhi a tariff king early on. But since then, there was the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump very early in his administration. Things seem to be on track there. But talk to us about what do you think has been the view of the Trump administration with regard to the relationship with New Delhi.
Good morning, Gauri, and the guest, both of you. Here is a bright early morning, and I'm enjoying President Trump's all the policies which are very unique and which is needed for America's economy, or whatever you want to call it. We were in a tailspin for a very long time. So we means me, businessmen, we wanted somebody who come and take a control of tailspin. His any policy and every policy is not to hurt anyone, but to help America. Whether it's India or China or Europe, these are all our allies and they were all our friends. But then there is America. That is why American people elected him, to make sure that we are taken care. Of course, if we are taken care, the world will be taken care. We have a $3 trillion, which is almost similar to entire India's GDP. We are borrowing and spending. Now we are on 39, 40 trillion. How far can we do that? He's clear in his policies. He doesn't hide behind the room. You just said it and I heard it. He has the 100 interviews which are in public. So if you're doing everything in a public, he's not hiding. He's telling the truth, and one must know the truth. If you know the truth, it's very easy to evaluate what is he doing, why he's doing. He did call India as a trade abuser, but you see it, at the end of the day, it's working out. In the sense, we are not used to the president who works 16, 18 hours a day and who works continue for the country. The previous president I watched, he could barely walk. He'd stumble and fall. So this is a new president, new style, and it's only 100 days. Mm-hmm. We have a lot more to go.
Yes.
1,200 more days to go. I think he's setting a new trend, and let's wait and watch rather than judge him in 100 days. I've never seen anybody judge 100-day president right away. Okay. He was previous president. Whatever he said, Gauri, he is implementing. He's not bringing any new rules. He talked about it for 2 years in a rallies. Mm-hmm. He's just implementing what he said. He is not doing anything different than what he promised.
Indeed. And it's now time to focus on the US-India relationship through the prism of some of the other strategic factors that are bringing New Delhi and Washington, D.C. closer. Technology being one of them, and of course, defense cooperation being the other. Now, if one were to talk about the defense cooperation aspect, Elizabeth, the U.S. does intend to boost defense sales. It wants to do more co-production when it comes to defense in India. There's also defense technology that is being boosted, whether it is in space, in missile, across the board, maritime. These are also very important objectives, something that even the Vice President mentioned when he was here. So one, of course, is the wheel and the pivot around the economic aspects of the relationship. But some of the other aspects, how important do you think they are in terms of driving this forward? Because if one were to talk about, one thing is the 100 days gone by, what about the remaining 1,300 days going forward?
Yeah, I think the defense and technology aspects of this relationship are hugely consequential. And they are areas where there's really been substantial groundwork laid by successive administrations, right? It's difficult in Washington to point to another issue or another relationship where you can look back to the Clinton administration and draw a pretty clear line between where we were at the start of this century and where we are today. And I think this is one of them. And, the challenges that we face in that space are on the Indian side, a desire for greater transfer of technology. On the US side, continued sensitivities over ITAR and kind of meeting expectations, right? Getting to a place where both sides are able to move forward with some of these really consequential co-production deals. For example, we're talking about new procurements and co-production for the Javelin, for the Striker. These are systems that had been under discussion in the previous administration as well. And I think, one thing I would highlight in this space is the urgency and the sense of speed that this administration in the US seems interested in, right? This doesn't strike me as a time when, continual many months, many years of back and forth is the need of the hour. And so there could be a degree of urgency to make material progress on these deals. And I think that's something that has been taken on board within the Indian system, but just has been a perennial source of some frustration, the speed with which these things move. We've also heard, about the F-35. It sounds like there's interest from the US administration. I guess my advice would be let's move forward on the systems that are already in the docket and demonstrate that there is ability to move quickly on these deals, to continue to build trust. But those deals, that additional source of investment from Indian companies to the US, this administration has been very clear that they are seeking additional Indian defense procurements from the US. And so finding mutually beneficial areas of cooperation in that space, I think will also aid in providing some ballast
Okay.
and some sense of movement in the relationship, some sense of progress, especially as on the other track, we're trying to work towards a trade agreement. So
Absolutely.
making sure that even though economic issues are in the lead right now, defense and technology aren't lost in the shuffle.
Absolutely. Economic issues are the primary driver, but some of these other issues are equally important. And that's exactly why it's important to also look at the big picture. While trade, economic policies, the tariffs have really dominated conversations here in India as well when it comes to the relationship with the US, some of these other important factors are equally a priority for India. And Mr. Gaikwad, let me then ask you about the tech flows of it. As an investor, as an entrepreneur, how much do you think the shift towards having more production lines in India because of a factor led by an exodus from China maybe, how much of that do you think will be a catalyst when it comes to the tech flows between India and the US?
So you ask very, very vital question. It's always in my mind. Imagine if China is not your production ground, who is the one next frontier? So instead of we nitpicking what I make and what I lose, we need to see a way broader picture and see how we can cooperate, which area we cooperate. Technology, India dominates in the world. If we take advantage of technology and put aside little petty things which matters to America, which also may matters to India, this is the greatest opportunity. We are top in a pharmaceutical, we are top in a technology, we are dominating that. Yes, we do not have bulk drugs, but we are the one of the largest generic medicine manufacturer in the world. So, and now the technology, yes, semiconductors, conductors, if they are coming on India's way, it will change India's surface. We see what happens. Media focuses on issues which are sometimes very necessary and sometimes very unnecessary. The country should focus, not what media focus. Country should know what is the benefit in me, where the Trump's policies are aligning. If we fight policies, it's not going to help. But we need to see where advantage can. Once you become a better partner, and we are,
Okay.
India's number one partner is America. Remember, and America's top 20 partner is not even India. So we have the most opportunity to be taken care.
Yeah.
Technology is a paramount. Pharmaceutical is that. Textile is there. So opportunity is God given. America want to get away from China. We should be the second alternate, nobody
Yes.
else. And this is the opportunity we need to grab.
We are now going to focus on the two important issues, which is trade and immigration, the two issues that really are at the heart of the impact that New Delhi has faced from the Trump administration. Trade first, because this administration views trade at the very center of any bilateral relationship. And before I go any further, I want to play out this soundbite by President Trump on the trade deal with India that is progressing rapidly.
India is coming along great. I think we'll have a deal with India. The Prime Minister, as you know, was here 3 weeks ago, and they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Danny Gaikwad, Mr. Bharat Barai, and in fact, Mr. Srini Raghavan are with me to talk more about, well, the two aspects of the India relationship, the trade and the immigration part of it. We just heard President Trump where he said that a deal with India is likely to happen fairly soon. Treasury Secretary has said that it could be the first off the block, really. And Dr. Barai, thank you so much for joining me right now. Very good morning to you as well, sir. Let me start by asking you, how much of a breakthrough will this be for the India-US relationship? If the trade deal is done and dusted and prioritized and finished, will it then allow the relationship to probably move forward and address some of the other issues as well?
Yes, psychologically, yes. India, Japan, and South Korea, they are trying to work out the deal, and I hope India is the first one to do it. It will not only help India's manufacturing, but it will also improve the relationship. You know, the government of India under Prime Minister Modi has taken a very wise approach. Instead of trying to have knee-jerk type of reaction that, oh, if you impose tariffs on us, we are also going to impose counter tariffs on you, they took a smart approach, negotiated the deal, and now if the deal is negotiated and India has much lower tariffs or no tariffs, depending upon what it comes out, many of the manufacturing industries will try to shift to India because when they export to USA, they will have much lower duty or no duty. I heard that Apple is trying to move all the manufacturing of the iPhones, which will be exported to USA from China to India. So that's a very smart move on part of government of India, and I hope it is successful. And when you are cooperating in the trade, it also fosters a general relationship between the two countries, will help in immigration, will help in defense, it will help in every area.
Indeed. And in fact, let me put that across to Mr. Gaikwad as well, which is that when we are talking about some of the other aspects of this deal and the trade relationship being at the center of it, okay, I think there's an audio issue. We're going to fix that in just a bit. And I'm also going to, in fact, get in US ISPF expert in just a bit to talk more about the trade aspect also. But Mr. Raghavan, I want to understand from you, when we talk about the trade deal with India, the fact that it is in its final stages of closure, what do you think is the kind of messaging and impact this will have on the larger India-US relationship?
Thank you, Gauri, and good morning, good evening to everybody. I think tremendous is the word. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, and I think being first to the table, like Mr. Bharat was pointing out, I think was the key. Right? You can see this dichotomy. India really wanting to play a positive role, and obviously the relationships between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi are a catalyst. So that's very, very observable, right? But once you have that, I think India putting the hard work and along with the US to try to really make this a fair deal for both, I think will have a hugely positive impact, not just on trade, but I think overall cooperation. Because again, you got to view trade in just not the context of trade, but overall geopolitics. It's a flow of money, essentially, right? So if we can, as India, take a better position and come in and probably beat China, which I don't see any signs from China to making a trade so far, I think it'll cut off a lot of the money route. With a lot of the geopolitical conflicts going on, whether it's Pakistan or whether it's Russia. I mean, I mean, we don't have to say it, but you know who's behind a lot of this stuff or where the money is flowing from. So I think it will have hugely positive consequences. India is obviously going to shoot up to the top of the radar, and I think India will become a major force, major ally within the South Asia region for the US.
That's exactly what I wanted to understand. I'm going to speak to Mark Lingscott in just a bit about the nitty-gritties of the trade deal. But this is a conversation that is focused on trying to understand the larger ramification of getting that trade deal done early on in the administration. Which brings me to ask the other issue, Dr. Brai, which is something that the Indian American community has also been facing and dealing. That is the issue related to immigration. It impacts India on many levels, whether it's the F1s, visas, whether it is the H1B, or in fact, even senior citizens being impacted, those who spent outside of the US 180 days or more. How do you see that issue, sensitive, contentious, politically important at the same time, being addressed between the two sides?
You know, this has been way overblown. There are very small number of people who are affected, either those people who stupidly participated in demonstration in front of the Hamas terrorists at the universities, and you are talking about maybe few. Most of the Indian Americans, and there are 5.5 million of us in the United States, they are feeling fine and we have no effect whatsoever. F1 visa, again, they are going to be issued to the Indian students just like before. Visitors visa are going to be issued to the Indians just like before. Yes, there will be scrutiny, and those people who are participating in anti-US propaganda, they will be scrutinized and probably not offered the visa. But that's not what 99.9% of the Indians do. So I think this issue is way overblown. Yes, there were illegals who were coming from Mexico border, some from Canada border. They are not coming anymore because they realize what will be the consequences. And really, no country should allow illegal immigration. India, we are very sure about the Bangladeshi illegals that have migrated. So is USA very sure about the illegals. And not only they migrate illegally from those borders, they also bring drugs, they bring the crime and many other things. So I don't think that they is going to affect the Indian Americans. In fact, if there is a successful trade deal between USA and India, India will be looked as a very favorable country that is easy to negotiate and come to a rational agreement. And that might actually increase the visas and opportunities for Indians coming to USA.
Dr. Brai, that's a very important point that you've made, and we're going to try and put that out as well for our viewers who are joining in right now to understand the larger impact of this conversation, which is that if a negotiation happens early, there are early pacts being signed, the perception that goes out is the deal making is not so cumbersome in India, which allows some of the other issues to also, or some of the other aspects of this relationship to also take off. Mr. Raghavan, then let me ask you about the visa-related, immigration-related issues that I put forth to Dr. Brai. How do you view those being impacted right now, given the fact that the sense one has in India is that whether it's F1s, whether it is H1Bs, India does get impacted quite significantly by some of these measures?
Absolutely. So I think there would be one thing that we should start with is that there has been a lot of fraud on the H1B side, right? So the F1, come here, do your work, do your studies, don't participate in unwanted stuff like all these protests and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think that is very clear. But as far as the H1B process is concerned and the fraud that has been discovered in that, I think that has been gone on for way too long. So I think the government is really trying to fix that, which again, I mean, that is the prime motive and duty of the government is to fix those kind of things. So once that is fixed and once the process is streamlined, that plus all the positivity coming out of the deal making, I think will go accretive, and I think the process will become much smoother. I think with industry and trade partnerships going on, and I'll give you an example not related to software, for example, right? So if you look at EVs, electric vehicles, I mean, India is really expanding into electric vehicles. A lot of the bus fleets are getting converted and things like that. So we need more of EV manufacturing, EV technology, and all that in India. So cooperating with the US, which has been much, much ahead of India in that particular sphere, I think would be a very positive. So that will exchange a lot of talent back and forth. That will exchange a lot of industry back and forth, particularly in that sector. And I think to
Okay.
do that, you need more visas, right?
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of our very special show on 100 Days of Trump 2.0. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Because your brain really matters.
We all love a bargain, like these flatmates who switched to Vodafone and are now paying less for their full fibre broadband, which means they can still stream 2 shows at the same time. But for less. Still gaming with mates, but for less. It's easy to switch to reliable full fibre broadband for less from Vodafone.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy 1 bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, you're guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Visit postoffice.co.uk/over50s.
Sale now on. Save £220 on this Lenovo Ryzen 5 laptop. Shop now at ao.com.
If you have cancer, you may feel overwhelmed with worries.
Will I lose my hair?
How bad will my side effects be?
How do I cope with waiting?
What happens now?
Whatever your cancer worries, Macmillan is here for you. Whether you're anxious about side effects, waiting for test results or appointments, or just need someone to listen, don't struggle alone. Whatever you need to ask, we're here for you 7 days a week. Call Macmillan for free now on 0808 258 8000.
What are you so happy about?
I've just made a claim. We could be owed thousands.
My Claim Group?
Yeah, the cars we bought on finance, well, the lenders could have charged hidden commissions. It's dead simple to claim.
Hey, I had 2 cars before we met.
Go to My Claim Group. You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from cars you bought on finance since 2007, even if you can't remember the details.
Done.
Simple, eh?
Go to My Claim Group now.
Claims made simple.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma. But so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pomelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 038 4926 and giving £1 a week to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 038 4926 Text C13 to 82727 or go online and give just £1 a week now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price spring savings. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our must-have Manhattan range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Refresh your home with Sharps this spring. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Pakistan to a hot mess, really. I mean, they've got an incredible heat going on at the line of control. They've got naval drills going on in the Arabian Sea. They're preponing tests of nuclear-capable weapon systems. They're spamming, the region with notices to airmen and notices to mariners. So this is all part of a certain amount of the fog of war, the theater as well. But obviously, it's not all drama. These meetings are extremely important because whatever comes next, remember the political leadership, Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah, the others, have made it very clear that a reaction is going to happen. It's not a question of if, but only when and in what shape or form. And therefore, Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh meeting the Prime Minister, the Admiral meeting the Prime Minister the previous day, all of this is probably building up to what that big military action is likely to be. Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh is a fighter pilot. Remember, the last big action by India against Pakistan in the face of terror were the Balakot bombings that were executed by the Indian Air Force. So we'll have to see, what the next thing is. Very broadly speaking, could it be one of the forces? Could it be all three? Could it be something else entirely? Could it be a combination of the above? Could it be